Looking to break in the high ticket sales industry and you're looking and considering a mentorship, this could be one of the most important videos that you watch. Look, the high ticket sales space has exploded in the last few years, right? For good reason too, right? It's a very lucrative space to be in. You know, in my belief, it's one of, if not the best doors to get your foot into the make money online space and industry. Out of all the different ways and pathways you can, in my own personal experience and from the guys that I've worked with, really it is the fastest and the most simplest way to get into it. But with that, we've got now hundreds of coaching programs and mentors and communities of guys all making the same claims. I can get you this, I'm going to get you that. And a lot of flashy marketing on the front end, and you can't kind of tell which is which and whose is who. And so after spending over $50,000 of my own money personally on sales coaching, training, development, I want to share with you exactly how you should approach looking at investing into mentorship. I've spent a cumulatively, I'd say like at least $250,000, upwards of 300K at this point in the last 6 years on like masterminds across the board, but particularly 50K on sales training. I'm going to share with you, questions you can ask, right? Or should ask yourself before actually investing into like a mentorship overall. Mindsets you should have overall, and just really a helpful video that will give you a bunch of different perspectives on what you should really think about before actually considering investing into mentorship if that's what you're looking to do. And these perspectives and these questions and these thoughts are things that I wish that I had getting into space 6 years ago. So hopefully you find a lot of value out of it. So let's first break down the 3 types of programs that you can utilize to enter into the space and industry. And I see a lot of guys get confused between these 3, and I want to make sure that you're very clear on which each one is so you understand whether or not they serve you and your goals. So the first training program in the whole mix of this is the 0 to 1 category training program, right? These training programs, mentorships, are for complete beginners, right? It covers the full picture, like how to navigate the space, your roles, helping you screen offers, building foundations, bring roles to you. They do everything end to end. And this is really important to understand the difference between, again, the following ones that come thereafter, because if you're looking to get in this space and you have little sales experience or even quite a bit of sales experience, maybe you've been in traditional sales prior and previous, and you're looking to transition to the high ticket sales space or you have no sales experience at all, this is going to be by far the best route that you end up going down. The reason being is that this particular training program is designed for you and the outcome that you want to get into the space. The following training programs that I'm going to kind of talk about, which is like advanced sales training as well as like recruitment agencies or sales agencies, are not fit for people who are complete beginners, and you need someone who is going to be a coach long term to help you fill in the gaps to actually navigate this career effectively. A lot of these other different versions of programs and mentorships are only specifically focused on helping with a particular single result. So let's go into the other 2 just so you have the broader context, and I might explain and fill in the gaps. So second training program you can look at is like advanced sales training, right? I've spent upwards of $20,000 at once on these types of mentorships and programs, and they are really good, and I really strongly advise anybody to invest in the sales training development, but only when you are ready for it. It is the appropriate timing and it actually aligns towards your goals, right? Advanced sales training, in my opinion, are for people who are already closing, right? It's a complete wrong choice if you're starting out because they only fixate on one part of the equation. They're always going to tell you the reason you're not making the money that you want to make is because of you're not good enough at selling. But in actual fact, you don't even know how to look for a good offer. You don't know how to get a good offer. You don't know how to interview well. You don't know how to vet for offers. You don't know how to navigate the space in general. All these career advancement skill sets are all a part of helping a beginner enter into the space, right? A beginner coach or a beginner training program or community. That's what you want to be aiming for. Because when you look at, for example, the third example that I have for you, which is recruitment businesses, this is one of the biggest traps that I see most people fall for in the space as a whole. And the reason why this is an issue from my eyes is that recruitment businesses are solely basically taking advantage of both parties, right? They're taking not solely one party, but both parties essentially. what recruitment businesses do, they will tell you, that they're going to give you guaranteed placement, which is a thing that I'm about to dive into here in a second. But they will charge the business owner a fee, they'll charge you a fee, and then they'll pay you with these businesses. Now, the problem with that is when you pair a new business with a new closer, a new business with a new setter, it's not going to work out very well, as you can imagine, right? And a lot of people who buy into these training programs, which have this claim of, we're a recruitment business, we're an agency, like we're going to place you on an offer. There's a myriad of different problems that come and associated with that, which I'm about to explain here in a second, with like the guaranteed placement trap, and why that's a huge setback and negative thing in general. But with recruitment businesses, coming back to that same point here, the problem with that is they're profiting from both sides. So they're not incentivizing your goals and the outcome that you want, and they're just trying to make as much money as possible from, again, both ends of the spectrum. So they're not really prioritizing you, they're not prioritizing your goals, they're not prioritizing your transformation. They're just basically a cash cow. They're prioritizing to make as much money as possible, and you, unfortunately, are at the bad stick, or the bad end of that, because you're kind of being paired with new businesses, and no matter how skilled you are, you can never outsell a bad company. You can never outsell a bad offer. Okay, so moving on. Next thing I want you to be aware of is what I call the guaranteed placement red flag, right? So this is particularly to do with recruitment businesses, and this is also can be packaged up quite nicely, neatly in all different models of businesses, helping beginners or, recruitment business, all that type of stuff. They can all position themselves in this way. So something that you really need to be aware of and have your wits about you, because it is one of the biggest grifts in the high ticket sales space, which is positioning you or marketing to you the idea that you're going to get a guaranteed job at the end of the process, right? I hate to break the veil for you, but less than 20% of businesses in the info online services space last longer than 2 years. About 50% of them make less than $1,000 a month. So every offer in our space is not created equally. And so the biggest problem with most beginners when they look to enter this space is people are going to tell you that, because you get guaranteed placement, then that means guaranteed income, which again, couldn't be further from the truth. And so as long as they place you on a company, and you've paid them their fee, they're fulfilled up on their end of the bargain. They've technically placed you with a company, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to make any money, right? And what they'll do is they'll disappear once you've paid them, and you're kind of left high and dry. Not to mention, when you're given an opportunity like that, and you're not learning the skills to acquire your own roles on your own terms, you're going to struggle. Because what happens when, again, which 90% of the time this happens, you get an offer and it doesn't work out and you're not able to make the income that you want to make, right? How do you source your own roles? You need to learn offer acquisition skill sets on how to network, how to build the right relationships, how to screen offers, how to interview well. You need to learn these skills that fill in the gaps, so you're never reliant on any given one person. It's okay to have points where coaching programs and communities give you opportunities in the program, but it should never be guaranteed anything, because nothing is ever guaranteed. The only thing that is guaranteed is death and taxes, and then when we both die, we're going to pay more taxes, right? And so the reason why a lot of beginners fall for this and buy into this is because it's guaranteed. It's providing more certainty. But as a beginner, it's very easy to fall for because it seems attractive and it seems, well, how can I fail if I get a guaranteed job at the end of it? But as I mentioned before, not every job is created equally, and guaranteed placement does not mean guaranteed income. So hopefully that's helpful on that point. The next 3 questions that I want to cover is questions that I would definitely encourage you to look at internally before you invest in any training program, any community, any coaching program, whatever. It's really important that you really look through this lens because of the amount of noise that is in our industry as a whole. So first one is, have they actually personally achieved the exact result that you want? There's a lot of people who talk the talk but can't walk the walk in the high ticket sales industry, because there's a lot of guys who have been in the industry for a month, 6 months, a year, even a little bit longer than a year, who've now got one good result or a few good results in a couple months, and now they're turning around and they're teaching how to get into high ticket sales. Now, all the power to that individual, but in that instance, in that example, with all due respect, how would you expect someone who's only got maybe a year or a couple good months of results to ever get you the same result and outcome, right? It's very hard, right? And so I want you to think with a very rational lens. Has the person that you're looking to invest in, the community that you're looking to be a part of, the person who's leading the front on that, have they actually got the result that you want tenfold, right? If they haven't, well then I'd probably consider looking elsewhere, because what you're looking for when you're investing into a training program or a community as a whole is you're looking for more certainty, more structured certainty that if I follow the path that I'm going to follow, that I have a higher chance or higher likelihood of getting to where I want to go, because it is a risk at the end of the day. So really important to think very critically through that lens and really look into their background. How long have they been in the industry? Do they have content that shows strong competence of them achieving the result that they've gotten? Do they have documented story? Do they have real tangible results is kind of what I'm saying. The next thing is, do they have a documented, repeatable process, right? Now, this might sound quite simple, but stay with me. If someone hasn't or isn't able to articulate very clearly exactly how they take someone from one point of no experience to a result, which for you might be 5, 10K a month, whatever else it might be, then it's typically a red flag. Because if it's kind of just like, well, I'm going to throw you into my coaching program with a bunch of resources and different trainings and things like that I've learned over the years, but there's no structured roadmap on exactly how it's from point A to point B of an actual repeatable process, and it's just random, you're not buying certainty, you're guessing, wishing, hoping, and praying that with the information they give you, that it's just going to magically fall into a result and you're eventually going to get to where you want to go. So think and ask very self-critically, is there a documented process that you can follow that if you go in, you know that you're going to be successful, or you have a higher chance statistically to get the result that you're after? Now, the third question on this list is, have other people followed that same process and gotten the real results that you're after? Again, simple question, but not a lot of people kind of come to this conclusion on their own or really ask this to themselves. A lot of beginners that I speak to that get burned in our industry as a whole is they get sucked in and then they get attracted to the marketing on the outside. And marketing can be really deceiving. It can look really good on the outside, and then when you get in, it's not really what you actually originally bought into. And this is more common than you would think in the high ticket sales space because of the amount of people that have pulled off 1 or 2 good months, and now they're profiting off of beginners and people who are looking to get in the space, and they position themselves with their Instagram page and their content and their YouTube to look like they know what they're talking about, but in reality, they actually don't. So not only should you be looking through very critically, has this person gotten results with themselves in their own transformation, but have they also got a very long list of track record and social proof of doing it with other people? Right, it's just very important to take a look at, right? Not only just once, but multiple times, consistently. How fresh do they post their testimonials, their case studies? Think very rationally and very critically here. A lot of times, again, people buy into 6 months old results or things that were posted here and there and everywhere, right? Are they posting client results on an Instagram story every single day? Are they posting case studies? Do they have reviews on Trustpilot? Whatever place you can find to get that certainty of like other people have followed that same system and gotten results, then do it. Do your due diligence, do your research, because it's really important that you put your money in the right place and put your trust in the right place, because not only the money that you could lose by taking risk on the wrong person, the wrong training program, the wrong community, but it's also the time cost and the opportunity cost as well. So simple question, but really important to consider when looking at or considering a mentorship overall. Next key thing I want to share with you is a mindset that I would wish for you to adopt before exploring any mentorship or any training program. Really 2 mindsets holistically that I think would be going to be really helpful to you. So first things first, before even looking into any mentorship and looking through your own criteria and lens and making sure it's going to be a right fit for you, You need to establish why that you're actually doing this, that you're pursuing this career, and why you actually want your goals, right? Becoming clear on your goals, first of all, but why you actually want them in the first place. If you don't know what your goal is and you don't know why you're pursuing it, the first obstacle that you come across in this space and industry, you will collapse, you will fail, and you will give up. High ticket sales is a career. It's a skill set just like any other. And it takes time to learn. It takes time to get results. It takes time to get good at. And so if you are not understanding the reason why you're getting into this, you will struggle. And so dig deep and have a real rational think and think critically. Why am I actually getting into this career? What is my intention behind the result that I want? Because 10K a month is great and all that, and it's a great goal to have, but you need to dig deep as to why you really want to be doing this. It could be a many variety of different reasons, and that you're only going to know that unique, personal to you. But I know personally my why as to why I wanted to get into high ticket sales and get the results, which was that I wanted the freedom, most importantly, but I wanted to prove everybody wrong, because nobody else around me had actually achieved that type of result with making money online, period. And I just wanted to prove that I could do it. And it took me a long time, longer than it should, to get any results in this space. But I was already so deep in that I just wanted to prove to myself and others that I could, get the result that I said that I was going to do. So dig deep and find out your why as to why you're actually looking to get into this industry and you're looking to pursue the outcomes that you're looking to pursue. Because a lot of guys, they just simply don't know why. And if you get clear on the why and the goal, the how often comes a lot easier. So dig deep, find out your main reason on why you want to get into this, because no matter the mentorship, it's not going to save you if you don't understand your true driving motivator as to why you want to get into this. Next thing is you need to have extreme ownership, right? Stop looking for external certainty. The mentorship is going to be important, and it absolutely does play a factor in your results in the space industry. But when I first got started, I did a very bad mentorship. Great guy, had a lot of great intentions, but he just wasn't equipped or experienced enough to, teach people what he was teaching, which is getting into high ticket sales, right? I could have gotten much better experience elsewhere and spent a lot of money on sales trainings to get the result that I wanted. I digress. More of the story is that even though I didn't get the right mentorship at the time, I still took as much accountability and extreme ownership over my own outcomes, my results that I got in this space industry, regardless of the training that I was in. And the key mindset you need to adopt, no matter what mentorship or community that you get into, it's got very much to do with how you come in and show up as a person. And a part of it is to do with the mentorship that you choose, but it really is down to the individual, right? Even though I was a part of a mentorship that didn't really put me as that much of an advantage and took me way longer to get the result that I wanted, I still made it work anyway. And so I can attest from my own personal experience, it really is down to the individual, right? Your support will help you, and it will help you put a few rungs above everyone else, especially doing it as opposed to doing it on your own. But really deeply think and understand, am I willing to step into a career where all my results and all my outcomes are my own responsibility, and that is all, right? Because that is what sales is. It is a meritocracy. You get paid for how good you are, right? Your performance. It's nothing else, right? You can't hide. It is how good you are and your responsibility on how you navigate your career in the industry. So you need to accept that coming into this space. If you can't accept that, then you shouldn't even bother, right? Is my personal reference advice. If you can't take the responsibility for your own outcomes, you will struggle. Next thing, real income timelines. Now, the data that I'm about to tell you and the things I'm about to share with you on how long it takes to get a result in the high ticket sales space is purely dependent on my own personal experience and the exact data that I've gotten from working with over 400 one-on-one clients, right? 400, right? A lot of people ask me, how long does it take to get an offer? How long does it take to get roles? How long does it take to make your first money? How long does it take to get to 10 to 15, 20, 30K a month, whatever else it is, the results you see online? And I'm going to break it down very clearly for you on what you should expect in any coaching program that you take, so your expectations are correct and you're not sold the wrong expectations and timelines from, some guy who's just, marketing to you that you can get to 10K a month in the next 30, 60, 90 days. These are the realistic, transparent timelines that I have seen. So from the guys I've worked with, typically it's normal, depending on the schedule, flexibility, and goals of the individual. 3 to 5 weeks is pretty normal to find your first role, whether it be setting or closing in the high ticket sales space, right? Within your first 60, 90 days, you should be on your first offer and you should be closing deals or having your first set of closes where you're making your first commissions if you go about it the correct way. If you're trying to do things on your own or you don't have the right guidance, you may make a mistake with your first offer or two, or even three beyond that, to where you delay your progress significantly to where you could have gotten there a lot faster if you made the right moves and you got the right guidance from someone with experience. From there, typically most people I talk to want to achieve, inclusive of myself when I started out, is 10K a month. Right, that's the primary goal that everybody gets in this space to earn. Now, you might want to earn more, you might want to earn less, but this is the typical goal that I hear everywhere across my Instagram and what everybody I work with is trying to achieve. And so the realistic timeline that I typically see for this type of result is 6 to 12 months, right? 6 to 12 months is typically the realistic timeline that we see for that. Now, I have clients who've hit it in 3 months or 4 months or 2 months or 6 months, completely dead on. But what I've seen is, without fail, from my own personal experience, is either dead on 6 months or dead on 12 and a bunch of variance between. And I'm going to tell you why that variance happens so that you have, as much reference to why it takes longer or shorter timelines. One is support, for sure. Like if, someone doesn't have the support from someone who's got experience, to get the guidance from someone like a mentor who's been there and done that, it's going to blow your timeline significantly, and it's going to ensure that you take longer to hit your goals. Your ability to know the right offers to pick and also get those offers has a huge sway on things. I've had clients get little to no results for 3 months and take a few bad offers and then get the right offer, and then on the 4th month they're at 10K a month, right? Really has a huge dependence on that, as well as I think it really just comes down to your ability to advance in opportunities and your ability to think very critically about how you can get to the next best thing, because an offer that you qualify when you start is not going to be the same as 2-3 months down the line. So your career advancement skills, I think, has the biggest and hugest sway on how fast or how slow that you hit that, and being able to pick the right offers and get the right offers is really key there as well. Now, in between that, I'm just gonna have a glass of water because my throat's getting really dry here. So in between that, I would say that beyond 12 months to a year to 2 years, that's when you can look at these massive numbers, typically from what I see for the 20, 30, 40, 50K a month in commissions. That is possible, but it kind of takes a bit more time than what you're advertised to, like 1.5, 2 years, 3 years in the game. At that point, you've built a lot of relationships, good reputation, good skill level, to where you can really navigate for those seriously top tier roles. And that's typically what I see with most of my clients. Like I've had clients hit in Australian dollars, like 60K plus in commissions at 19. So it's like 40K USD or a little bit above that. He was in the space for about a year and 8 months to achieve those type of results. So just to give you an example of the more realistic timelines there as well. Now, the final thing that I want to finish on, which is really important above all in terms of the criteria that you have when it comes to looking for people to work with and communities to join and mentorships to be a part of, is that this is the formula that it comes down to. If you have a 10K goal, you need to have a 10K strategy and a 10K effort multiplied by the exponent of time to get the results that you're after. And I know that sounds complicated, but stick with me here because this is really important, because if you get this, there's no way that you can fail in this industry. All it simply is, your goals. We just have to work backwards, which is the strategy in which you use to get there, the effort in which you put in to get the result, and how long you do for it is simply all that it is that indicates whether or not you're going to be successful in this industry or not. And so the right mentorship program that you pick just dictates how quickly you will get to that 10K strategy or not. You self pick and choose how quickly you move towards that 10K effort or not, and time is really, just going to unfold no matter what you do. And so that's pretty much the accumulation of what you should be considering before getting into any basically coaching program or community. It's going to heavily indicate or sway, particularly on the strategy that you have, not the effort and the time. The effort and the time is your equation that you're going to be able to solve yourself. I got there without the strategy. I just put in the effort over time, and it took me a lot longer to get there because I didn't have the strategy. And so when you understand that your success in this industry is just based off those key variables, a part of that equation, which you have to work our way backwards, then you understand that there's probably like 50% of the equation is to do with the strategy that you're implementing and the help and the support that you get, right? That's a key factor that is going to determine whether or not you get to where you want to go much faster or slower than you actually want to. So a very big part of the equation is what you put into it and for how long you've been at the game, right? It's not just the program you invest into, it's the effort you put in, and it's for how long you've been in the game, right? The number one thing that stops most people getting results that they want out of this industry is a level of commitment, focus, dedication to actually putting the inputs in long term. And that's where I see most people get the most results. So this has been a really long video. Hopefully I've just been talking my mind just as it comes to me. So this is just basically off my experience of being in the industry for the last 6 years. And hopefully now you have a newfound perspective on like what type of training program that you can choose that's going to be best alignment towards your goals. And this is a video that I wish that I saw 6 years ago trying to break in the space industry. So hopefully you got some value out of this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.